Google plans to appeal the antitrust ruling against its search engine dominance. A new Nebraska law wants to make social media less addictive for kids. And the movie 28 Years Later used iPhones in tandem for some wild shots. It's Monday, June 2nd, and here's a quick look at tech in the news this morning from Engadget. The complex and consequential antitrust trial against Google and its search engine practices recently heard its closing arguments, and the tech giant is already planning to appeal. In a social media post, Google confirmed it would file an appeal explaining that the proposed solutions went too far and would harm consumers. To challenge Google's dominance of the search engine market, the Department of Justice took on the tech giant by filing a lawsuit back in 2020. The monumental antitrust case has steadily evolved over the years, with the DOJ proposing remedies like Google opening up its search engine tech to licensing, prohibiting agreements with device makers like Apple and Samsung to ensure Google was the default search engine, and forcing the sale of the Chrome browser and the open-source Chromium project. According to Google, the Department of Justice's proposed actions would open consumers up to very real privacy issues, leave the government in charge of user data, and help well-funded competitors. Instead, Google offered to loosen its agreements to allow other search engines on devices and create an oversight committee to monitor the company's activities. Since then, the federal judge presiding over the case ruled last August that Google had an illegal monopoly of the search engine market. The judge agreed with the DOJ that Google owning the Chrome browser gives it an unfair advantage since it could use its search engine advantage to drive more traffic and generate more revenue for the company. The end result of this antitrust trial could have serious implications for the future of artificial intelligence, which is closely tied to the search engine market. According to Google, this ruling could allow other companies with AI chatbots to step in and dominate the search engine market instead. During the trial, Nick Turley, an OpenAI executive, testified that the company would be interested in buying Chrome if Google was forced to sell it. Nebraska is the latest state to crack down on how kids can use social media. The state's governor recently signed into law a package of bills aimed at restricting certain social media features that keep kids hooked on the platform. The final bill signed, called the Age-Appropriate Online Design Code Act, will require companies to offer time limits on usage, restrict certain categories of content, and provide chronological feeds instead of algorithmic ones that promote infinite scrolling. The Age-Appropriate Online Design Code Act, also known as LB 504, details that social media companies can only collect the minimum amount of personal data from younger users, and offers parents more tools to limit how their children use their accounts. Along with those restrictions, the law prohibits any ads related to gambling, alcohol, tobacco, or drugs from reaching kids on social media. Alongside that bill, the signed package of bills includes another that limits student use of smartphones in schools, one that requires social media companies to verify the age of its users and require parental consent for creating accounts, and lastly, one that creates criminal penalties for AI-generated pornography. The law is set to go into effect January 1st, and any companies that violate these new regulations will face civil penalties. Nebraska is the latest state to restrict social media usage for minors, but Texas is also trying to pass a similar ban. With more efforts to regulate social media, NetChoice, an internet advocacy organization whose members include Google, Meta, and X, has voiced criticisms of these states' efforts, arguing that they infringe on First Amendment rights and user privacy. Back in 2022, California signed a similar law meant to protect underage users, but it has since been in a legal battle following a lawsuit filed by NetChoice that claims a violation of free speech rights. It's not a secret that the movie 28 Years Later used iPhones to shoot parts of the film. Now its director Danny Boyle has discussed the use of iPhones for the film in more detail with IGN. The first film in the franchise, 28 Days Later, was shot on digital video, giving it a homemade feel. Boyle explained that he and writer Alex Garland got the idea from the fact that home video cameras were common at the time, and people would have shot videos with them if an apocalypse had indeed happened. Those cameras, of course, have since been replaced by smartphones. The movies used 3 special rigs for the iPhone sequences. One for 8 cameras that one person could carry, another with 10, and another with 20. Boyle described the 20 iPhone rig as basically a poor man's bullet time, which is a visual effect that uses multiple cameras to freeze or slow down time. Think the scene in The Matrix where Neo dodged bullets in super slow motion. Doyle said that the 20-camera rig could be attached to cranes or dollies, and it gives the viewer 180 degrees of vision. In editing, you can choose from any of the footage each iPhone takes to, say, move between perspectives or jump forward and backward. For 28 Years Later, the team used the rig for violent scenes to emphasize that effect. In addition to the iPhones, the filmmakers also used drones, cameras attached to actors, and even attached to farm animals to achieve an immersive feel. Thanks for listening. There's more to these stories and more tech news at Engadget.com. This episode featured journalism from Jackson Chen and Mariella Moon and was voiced and produced from the sound studios of Spoken Layer. Enjoy your day. I'll be back tomorrow with more tech news from Engadget.